regards to this, all right, basically, I can help the guy out, I mean, with some information, but that's up to him. If he has no interest in it, it's fine. You know, I get it, because I'm a lolcow on the internet, and so he probably doesn't want to talk to me about it, because probably it'll bring him negative attention or whatever to be talking with someone like me, and that's fine. But the truth is, I actually have all the information, because I was already Dale, because that is his real name, is Dale, went to court, and had his entire case broadcast on the internet. Now, being that he's a lolcow like me, it means that everyone micro-scrutinizes everything this guy is involved in. And in this case...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to I'll Name This Segment Later. GTG Spits That Grease, so on and so forth. Title forever in the works. So, if you guys ever have a title recommendation or you want to sponsor a show, leave a title down in the comment section below. It will more than likely make it into one of these. And we very much appreciate it. All right, so if the title hasn't given me away yet, we're going to talk about DSP responding to the LTG verdict for LTG's court hearing that just happened not too long ago. And in particular, how DSP tried to make it about himself while bashing LTG and then tried to smooth things out in the end. So that's where our situation is. To bring you guys up to speed in case you guys don't know, which I would assume, I mean, unless you guys are, if you're not familiar with LTG, don't worry about it because it's not that important. But it is getting a lot of buzz, and it is kind of interesting that he was able to get away with what he did, but that was based on a technicality, I think. Anyway, LTG took his baby's mother. I hate the way DSP says baby mama. I hate, you weren't brought up saying that, so don't say it. Just say baby's mother, and that's, or the mother of his child. Just say that. And that's it. You sound fucking ignorant as shit saying that shit, DSP. Jesus Christ. Anyhow, LTG took his baby's mother to court and was pursuing a restraining order while also trying to get some leverage on this whole child custody / child support situation. The judge completely sidestepped the last two because that wasn't her ballpark and she don't care to deal with that. There's another court to go and handle that in. Take that shit there, and only dealt with the restraining order, which she did grant to him. 3 years, he has a restraining order against Rose. Rose can appeal it, hopefully she does, and sooner than later, there will be the hearings over the child support and what sounds like child custody that LTG is going for. But I think that's a bluff. I honestly think he's putting the idea out there that he is going to pursue custody of his child to get Rose to basically, hey, give up on this child support thing. I'll write away my rights to my child, and then we just walk away from each other clean. I think that's what he wants to do. I think Rose by now is probably figuring out that's what the case is, and you know, whatever it is, because you don't want, truth be told, you don't want your child in LTG's hands or in the hands of any lolcow. Look at Rich Review Tech USA's children. Look at those 3 very sad children, and you can understand how being associated with a lolcow is not the smartest idea. But anyway, so that's what the situation is with that. There's a lot of buzz going on. A lot of people are being like, what the fuck is going on? Whether you count it as a win or not is incidental. He went out there, he represented himself, and he got what he was looking for, and clearly in the early steps of what he's looking to obtain later. So that's the LTG part of it. I did a video on that too. It should be out by now. Now we go to this mongoloid. Okay, so DSP is responding to this, and he goes about it in 3 ways. I'll try to go, and I will insert some clips in here to kind of follow all that up. He starts off with bashing LTG, because that's what he does, and basically saying that, you know, he's not as affluent as he is, he's not as popular as he is, he doesn't deserve the success that he has, so on and so forth. LTG is not a very good person. So with that, there's a reason why the internet goes at him the way they do. It's the reason why they treat him the way they treat him. And this court case has brought a lot of attention to this, to LTG, for good or bad.
You know, I got to talk about it, all right? It's the talk of the internet right now. Literally overnight, this blew up on the internet, and so I have to address it, okay? Let's go. Let's just do it. Let's just get the elephant out of the room so we can relax for the rest of the show. All right. Yesterday, LowTierGod went to court. Yes, that's real. That's not like a video a detractor made. Well, it is, but it's not like a video that's made up. It's not that like it's some silly meme story made by AI. It's not Sora AI garbage, okay? It's real. Yesterday, LowTierGod went to court and had a public hearing, which you would think he would have known that it would have been public. You see, whenever you go to court, unless for some reason it's a very serious thing that a judge deems, hey, this needs to be closed the door, in general, okay, when you go to court, it's public. It's recorded. It's sometimes broadcast on the internet. It's archived. It's uploaded. People can see the court case after the fact. And what happened was Dale, because that is his real name, is Dale, went to court and had his entire case broadcast on the internet. Now, being that he's a lolcow like me, it means that everyone micro-scrutinizes everything this guy is involved in. And in this case, I don't actually think anyone really knew what he was going to court for or understood. To be honest, when I found out, I was shocked. Okay? So for those who don't know the situation with LowTierGod, he's a live streamer who basically every time he goes on stream produces himself as some kind of a big shot. He's essentially a narcissist, okay? Anyway, in regards to LowTierGod, I've covered him before. I've done a whole stream about him on April Fool's Day. I've talked about him in the past and how he fakes his affluence, meaning he shows on screen a ton of subs and all of that, and they're all fake or they are way undervalued. So he'll say he has 4,000 active subscribers that are paying, but each subscriber is probably less than $1, meaning he doesn't even make $4,000 in a month. Hence, it's faked affluence. It's staged. It's all smoke and mirrors. He has a stream that claims to have thousands of viewers, but the chat doesn't even move at all. So obviously they're not real. They're bots. And we could talk about this till the cows come home, but I already have, so there's no reason to really beat the dead horse here. The reason that we're bringing this up is very simple. Yesterday, he went to court. His entire court case was publicized and put on the internet publicly, and he was exposed for a lie that he has been telling for years on his streams because he had to publicly admit the truth of it in front of a judge. Okay? Now, I personally can say that I have been down this path before. The path of, okay, someone's in my personal business. They shouldn't be, because what they're talking about has nothing to do with me or my content on the internet. So I don't know why someone would bring it up. I don't know why we would even talk about it. So just lie about it. Okay? And so, over the years, there's been little white lies here or there that sadly have kind of blown up in my face over time. I mean, notably the one that most people bring up to this day is mobile games. That I used to say, no, I don't play mobile games. I don't spend money on mobile games. I don't do anything there. And then, of course, people got insanely obsessed with this minutia, which has nothing to do with my streams or content. And they did basically every possible thing they could to make my life miserable to try to prove that I play mobile games. Okay? Don't know why, because it really has nothing to do with anything. So, you know, socially engineer some of my accounts to try to get access to them and hack into, well, not hack, but actually work for my ISP company to turn my internet on and off during live streams. I'm not kidding. That actually happened. And more crazy stuff that has happened to me over the years with these people who are absolutely obsessed with me and they're just nuts. Okay? So, I can tell you from personal experience, I understand how you can tell a little white lie and think it's no big deal. Let's just get past it and get back to my content. But then people hyperfixate on that white lie, and that lie gets blown up exponentially because it's just the thing you've lied about all along. Okay? Now I know it is far safer, all right, to just be honest about this kind of stuff, particularly if it has nothing to do with your content. You know what I'm saying? Just be like, yeah, all right, whatever, I play mobile games, moving on. As opposed to lying about it, okay? In particular, what we're talking about here with LTG is that over the years, he has been accused of having a child and that he doesn't take care of the child. He apparently is owed back child support and hasn't paid it. and that basically he's a deadbeat dad. That's what the people on the internet accuse this guy of. Now, does any of that have to do with his content? No. If you're tuning into an LTG stream to see him rage at fighting games and put on his clown show and lie about how affluent he is and all of that, you know, it has nothing to do with that. So you could still enjoy laughing at LTG and his content and not have to delve into his personal affairs in life. But sadly, when you're someone who presents yourself publicly on the internet every single day, people tend to want to dig in. All right. And in this case, the fact that he has lied over the years, always saying, no, I don't have a child. This is all a lie. This is some random hoe on the internet who's making this up and is clout chasing and wants to get attention and wants to make money off my name. That's what he's been saying all along. And the problem with that is people will not let it go because they feel like, hey, if you're really a deadbeat dad, if you have a kid and you're not taking care of them, and here you are, you know, shit talking the mother and everything, that's awful. I mean, there's so many things that have been thrown around that supposedly he said. I don't know what's true and not because I don't sit around watching the guy's streams all day. But let me just tell you, I've seen some clips that are pretty nasty stuff. And the truth is, if he does have a kid and he said this stuff, one day that kid's going to see it. And that kid's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe that my dad talks like this. And this is the kind of guy that he is on the internet. You know, whether it's a show or not, you know, he's saying some heinous stuff. Okay? Now, the reason the whole internet is abuzz is because yesterday, LTG went to court for something that you probably never would have expected. He went to court representing himself, trying to get a restraining order against his baby mama. Yes, he filed this lawsuit against her. He wants a restraining order against the baby mama. And you might...
Now, as we go on with this, right, and if you've actually heard this segment, you find that despite DSP bashing him in the beginning, towards the end, he becomes very sympathetic because while this is all going on, DSP's trying to make this about himself. He's trying to self-insert because that's what he does, because he's a fucking loser. He has nothing else to live for, so he has to live through other people. And he has to imprint his experiences onto other people to seem relevant. For those of you who know, you know. So he starts off bashing LTG, saying that, you know, he's fraudulent, he's not affluent, he's not successful, he's not as successful as he is, for sure, which is just jealousy, to make that very, very clear. And I'll point this out in a whole nother video. But DSP was just projecting a shitload of jealousy. On top of that, he sees that people are online praising LTG for going up there, representing himself and walking away with the dub. Whether you consider it a win or not is up to you. And he's envious of it. And he's very envious of it because he wouldn't be brave enough to do it himself, because DSP's a coward. So he starts bashing him. He does his usual spiel, and then we move on to the second part of it, where the actual court case. And he says that, well, LTG has been exposed. Now everything's out in the open. Everybody knows what his real name is. We all knew what his real name is. Those who care, I should say. We knew what Dale's real name was. Doesn't mean anything. And he came out and admitted that he does have a daughter. And this woman who he's been denying all these years of even knowing, that is his baby's mother. We knew that too, for those of us who cared. You've watched enough Red Dale to know that as well. You can look at that child. I'm not saying look her up. Don't do that. But if you've ever seen Dale's child before, Jesus Christ. Oh shit. She looks like her father. She looks way more like her father than her mother.
Eventually, through about 20 minutes of talking with this judge and explaining the situation, it was him and his baby mama was there in court, but she wasn't on camera, apparently. So apparently during this, the judge came to the conclusion there is grounds here for a restraining order. That, yes, this is evidence that this woman is talking with your detractors and conspiring, giving personal information about you out that's allowing them to systematically harass you. Okay? And the judge actually granted a 3-year restraining order against his baby mama, basically saying you can't talk about any of his personal information, including his address, his social security number, any financial information, anything you may be privy to because you were in a relationship with this guy. You can't tell anyone about that at all, or you're violating this court order. You can't go and interact with the guy at all in person. In fact, basically what's been laid out is the only time that he can interact with her is if they're talking about spending time with the daughter. Now, you heard what I just said, right? Spending time with the daughter, right? Why am I talking about that? Because guess what? In this court case, right there in front of the judge, LTG, Dale Wilson, admitted to the judge that that is his daughter that he shares with this woman. So the thing is, if he's seeking out this restraining order and he really feels like this is the best thing for him, more power to him. If he is getting systematically harassed by this person and she is giving out his personal info and his detractors are now getting it and they're messing with him, that's messed up. That would be really messed up. Imagine if I had a family member or someone from my past who was doing that. Yeah, I might seek out that kind of thing too, because that should not be possible. That someone who you basically trusted is now completely screwing you over, okay? So, he got the restraining order, but he had to admit publicly that this girl is his daughter. And the weird part about that is he must have known that was going to happen, right? So, he knew going into this, seeking the restraining order, that this was going to be a exposed moment for him. That all these years that he had lied to his viewers, saying he doesn't have a daughter, there is no anthropoid, I don't have an anthropoid, because that's what he calls her on his streams, which is ridiculous, okay? He knew that he was going to basically blow up his lie and show that he's been lying all the time. Now, here's the thing, because I want to be honest about it, all right? I do feel that this really is not going to affect him negatively when it comes to his supporters and viewers. I don't think his supporters and viewers care. I think the people that like LTG will show up to his streams to hang out, to laugh at his antics when he plays fighting games, to see his react content or whatever you want to call it, and they're going to continue to support him whether he has a daughter or not. I don't think they care. And I think that he will continue his content and be unaffected in that way. Okay? But sadly, what's going to happen now is every detractor on the planet has been proven correct with what they've been saying all these years, and now they're going to have a field day with this. So, even though he got the restraining order legally placed against his baby mama, sadly, I think what's going to happen here is the harassment might get worse. So, my question is, what was he thinking? Like, legit, what was he thinking to doing this restraining order? Because I don't think it's really going to change much in regards to his situation, in regards to his baby mama, but I do think that this might now blow up and become the big thing that he's been a liar all this time. Okay? And, I just, I think it's pretty crazy. So,
no one's surprised by that. That's not an expose. That's nothing. I guess you could say it validates why the trolls have been on his neck. But the moment that girl's picture came out, everybody was like, yeah, that's his kid. Like, didn't even have to question it. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I'm looking at Linda and I'm looking at Dave and I'm looking at DSP and I'm thinking, I don't know, Dave. I don't know, Phil. I don't know if Dave might have been your dad. You don't look that much like him. You kind of do, but not, no. So, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe Linda isn't really your mom and maybe it's someone else. I don't know. I'm just questioning some shit. Maybe Dave just brought you home one day to Linda and said, hey, we're raising this. And she was like, okay. And then, it happens. It has happened. So maybe. It's like, I'm just throwing it out there. So in any case, you look at, so DSP's trying to make it seem like this is some giant own. Dale was exposed in court. Now everybody knows the truth. No one cares. We already know. For those who know, him having to confirm that shit was a calculated move on fucking Dale's part anyway to get the restraining order. So, you know what I'm saying? Just so he could further get himself out of this situation later. So DSP is running, he's like 50 miles behind everybody, which is really amazing given all the Red Dale content or just LTG troll content in general. That he's this far behind the 8 ball is fucking amazing. But he's been behind the 8 ball his entire fucking life. So no surprise there. So he goes on about that. Then he goes into this segment talking about, well, the importance of not lying, right? When DSP says that, hey, he makes content for the internet, whether he's raging, whether he's this, whether he's that, it doesn't matter. But his personal life should be just his personal life, and it shouldn't be exposed. It shouldn't be hyper fixated on, and it doesn't really mean anything anyway. And he tries to throw that on the trolls. The same trolls that that DSP himself has been benefiting from. The same trolls that LTG benefits from because they keep his name alive and relevant. Semantics. DSP says that they shouldn't have pursued him and it was wrong to do that because this is personal shit that has nothing to do with his content. Then he goes and says, well, Dale's at fault too, because he could have either told the truth about the situation or he could have just ignored it and not confronted it, which is something that a lol cow can't do. A lol cow can't tell the truth, nor can they ignore some shit, especially if it's true. So that's a moot point no matter what. So DSP was talking out of his own ass. He self-inserts about how his own problems and issues had came about and he shouldn't have lied about it, WWE champions being one of them and whatnot, even though he don't talk about Jasper, he don't talk about the misappropriation for funds as it pertains to save my house, pay my taxes, the state and business occupation tax nonsense, and all the other lies that, you know, he's spewed over the years. He just wanted to focus on WWE champions because that was the only one he was willing to fess up to. And he didn't even fess up to it. We already knew he was caught. And that's kind of how he tries to treat this. Oh, the whole thing about the daughter is his version, is just the what people like to call him? Like the black DSP. That was just the black DSP version of WWE champions. That's basically how he tries to spin that shit.
I'm not going to react to this live. I'm not going to sit here and pick the guy apart. Because here's the thing. I think it's messed up. I don't think that any of this ever should have been on the internet. I don't think that his personal information and his personal life should be exposed to those on the internet. Because I've been through the same shit. I've had my own personal stuff that I never intended to ever talk about on the internet or have a part of any of my content been pulled onto the internet publicly. And it's incredibly frustrating because do you think that years and years ago when I went ahead and said, hey, I don't play mobile games, that was going to blow up into something that everyone was going to talk about for like 5 straight years and they were going to harass me constantly about it and all that? No, of course not. I thought it was just some dumb thing. Let's get it out of the way and let's play games again, right? But sadly, I learned the hard way that little white lie can blow up and turn into a ginormous problem, okay? So all I will say is, in my advice to anyone out there on the internet who's a creator, okay, if something is being talked about and it's your personal shit and you don't want it talked about on the internet, all right, you basically have 2 ways to go about it. Way number 1 is to just tell the truth. And look, the truth might hurt and the truth might be a little dirty and the truth might be a little embarrassing, but it's better to get the truth out there so that you don't have people A-logging you, stalking you, obsessing about you, and trying to find ways to get information that isn't really theirs to have and to mess with you to try to figure out what's really going on and to disprove what you're saying, okay? It's better to tell the truth and fess up than to have to basically create this web of lies for yourself. It's not pretty. It's pretty messed up to have to go through that shit, okay? So it's that simple. That's my advice. Or number 2, completely ignore it. Don't ever address it. Just don't talk about it at all. It is much better to ignore or to tell the truth than to ever lie. And that is what I have learned over the years as a creator. I've been through it where, nonstop harassment, and, I will take the blame for it because, again, the shit that I've gone through, I feel like I've kind of been a trailblazer almost every step of the way. When I first started as a YouTuber back in the day, what happened? Well, I was one of the first people to do improv commentary. I didn't know how to do it, so I did it the wrong way. I was saying horrible sexualized comments and generalized racial comedy and things, and now today people call me out for that. Well, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was an idiot, and I was trying to entertain a teen audience. I did it all the wrong way, okay? And then over the years, people call me out for shit, and I lie about it, and I do the wrong thing. This is How You Don't Play comes out, and I react to it poorly and negatively. I did everything wrong. If anything, let my tale be a cautionary tale to the internet, all right? Learn from my mistakes and do better. Because now you have that track record of experience to look at and say, hey, Phil fucked up, do better. In this case, all right, LTG lied time and time again about having a kid. And to be honest, did it really matter? Probably not. He could just say, I'm never going to talk about this topic on stream, period. That's it. So bringing it up is a waste of your time. Or he could have fessed up and said, yes, I have a kid. And I don't have a good relationship with the mother. And that's why I don't talk to any of them. And that's that, period. None of your business. Right? But, you never, what they say is hindsight's 20/20. I feel like now that it's out there, he is going to be probably honest about it, you would think. I mean, he can't lie about it any further. He's already publicly admitted it in a court of law that it's true. And, you know.
And he basically tries to just reiterate that, hey, you know, people shouldn't pry into our lives, but we shouldn't be lying to cause this bullshit. This is him just trying to show growth, but it's not true because he lies to this very day. They both do. So none of this means anything in the grand scheme of things, to be honest. Then he goes into this fucking lame-ass diatribe about, you know, oh, now he wants to have custody of his daughter. And it's like, how are you going to raise her? You called her all these terrible names. You said all this terrible shit about his mother. You know, how's that going to make you look? How's the internet going to look at you at that point? No one cares. Like, in the grand scheme, no one's going to care because he's not actually trying to raise her. He's not trying to get custody. He's just trying to put pressure on Rose to get her to basically get off his back permanently and she can take the kid with her. But see, DSP, when he watches something, he takes what he wants and discards the rest. So even no matter how much Red Dale content or any other troll that he's watched, he only takes the stuff that he can easily use to bash Dale and to try to make himself look better. That by comparison, that's it. Which there is no comparison amongst lolcows. A lolcow is a lolcow. Period. There is no better lolcow than the other and all this bullshit. There is no the good Nazi. There is no the good lolcow. They're all lolcows. Beat them and beat them often. End of story. So he tries to go into that, and then which is going to fall flat about, as you know, how are you going to raise this child? You're not a good person. How are you going to bring them up in the environment that you do? You're going to have to change your content to even keep her around and all this bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. That's literally trash. And he's hyper fixating on something that's never going to come to fruition anyway. But because he's stupid, it is what it is. And he thinks that yet again, he's trying to show growth and he's not.
No, I think from what I've heard, supposedly there's more things coming. Okay, seriously. There's more things coming where he's going, again, maybe he's trying to get like actual custody of his daughter, which is crazy to think. Literally all these years on stream, he's denied having a daughter. He called her an anthropoid over and over, which in itself could be considered an insult. And now he's going to try to get custody of her. That's crazy to me because I don't know. Like, here's the thing. He got a restraining order against his baby mom, okay? That's not so hard to do as long as you can easily prove that there's been some kind of harassment. And let's be honest. Yes, Dale is A-logged every day by tons of people on the internet. You can prove harassment pretty easily. He has access to these Discord logs. There it is. If she's just talked with those people, there's your evidence of harassment. So it's crazy because people on the internet are going crazy right now and they're like, oh, big W for LTG because he represented himself in court and won. Yeah, but really, this wasn't a big deal. This was a restraining order. This was not him in a criminal case or a big civil case where it was a ruling and he won being his own lawyer. This was just, hey, someone's harassing me. Here's the evidence. Okay, granted. All right? If he's actually going to try to get custody of his daughter, that's a whole different ballgame. He has to prove to a judge that he is the better parent for this girl. And I don't know how that's going to happen. When he said the things he said on his streams, like all that has to happen is a few clips are played of the heinous things he said on his streams over the years. And the judge will be like, you said this about your daughter. Like, how could you be a parent or a good parent? You know, I don't know what he's thinking there. But who knows? Is he actually, let me put it this way. If he is stepping up to actually be a father, then good for him. If he's going to step up and be responsible and he actually wants to take care of this girl, more power to him. And I hope that he does the right thing. And, you know, so I hope that's what this is all about. I hope that maybe he's finally manning up and becoming responsible. But the truth is, when that happens, he's going to have to change his content. He can't be the same person that he's been all these years on his streams. If he's now going to pretend to be a responsible guy who's going to take care of a daughter. You can't say these vile things on stream every day and then have someone you're legally responsible for who now is going to get harassed in school and with people around her because her dad said this on stream. So, yeah, it's kind of the same thing that I've said with guys like RTU, Review Tech USA over the years. This guy is taking his shirt off every day on stream. He's sucking pickles and kissing chickens. He's got kids. So his kids are going to get harassed because of that. He knows that, right? Like, it's just crazy to think that these people have families, but they act like this on the internet. So that's that. I said, you know, my piece on it. I got it out of the way. That was the elephant in the room. If I didn't talk about it, everyone was going to ask me about it nonstop. So I just wanted to get it out of there. However,
then he finishes up with, I wish him the best moving forward. I hope he's learned from this situation. I hope the internet has learned from, you know, don't lie to people, just ignore stuff. A whole bunch of other fucking filler that don't mean shit. And then he goes on his final diatribe about how I don't actually hate LTG. You know, it was never about that. You know, it is what it is. You know, I just want to see everybody do better and whatnot. And he basically says, without saying it, he was frustrated with LTG portraying himself a certain way, even though he don't live that way. That's major projection, because you both do that. You both do that. DSP literally started his early YouTube career talking about how he was this respected person, this skilled person in the FGC. And he's not. He's not. I don't care what other detractor tells you what. He's garbage. And he's always been garbage. End of story. You know what I'm saying? And it proves it. The stats all prove it. And DSP can sit there and cry and complain all he wants, but it's almost like he forgets that those stats are out there. You can find this shit. It is what it is. And more than likely, DSP has been given charity over the years. So of course, you know, some people wanted to give him the little pat on the back and shit just to get him through. But the truth is he's useless and he's worthless and whatnot. And he ran his mouth. And that's the only thing he's ever going to be known for, was talking shit. No one gives a fuck about his tournament results. That's why you got to dig for him, because no one cares about that, because he didn't do nothing. So same shit. LTG, on the other hand, doesn't even have really good tournament results, truth be told, even though the competition for him was a lot larger. There was way more people competing. He had it a lot harder, but yet people respect LTG a little bit more than DSP does. And that's really what the point of this was.
I am not going to react live to his court case. It's 20 plus minutes. I'm not going to live react and pick him apart. You know, I saw it, yeah, and that's my take on it. And that's that, okay? So, am I going to be talking about this daily? No. Am I going to make tons of videos on it? No. I'm good. I'm busy. I got lots of stuff to do, but people already asked me for my opinion. You got it. Now we can move on. Okay? There you go. Okay. No, Mercury plays. I don't really hate LTG. I really don't. I think that the guy, sadly, all right, if he didn't portray himself in such a manner that he was this holier than thou, better than you narcissist, then none of this would matter. And actually, I'd feel bad for the guy. I'd be like, damn, that's actually sad that he's going through this personal shit and it's all been exposed on the internet. But this guy's whole persona on the internet is such, he's a big shit. He's better than you at fighting games. He's better than you at life. You know, it's ridiculous. And then when his stuff gets exposed, it's like, well, you're not perfect, dude. Take a look at all this shit, all these skeletons that were in your closet, but you were saying you were better than everyone else all along. Well, guess what? Well, now you got called out on it. And that's exactly what's happened here. And that's why it's kind of a weird situation where he decided to go to court publicly. He knew this would be public. He's going to admit that he has this daughter when every single stream for years he said he doesn't. So it doesn't even really make sense unless he thought that in this case, all right, the situation would be that it's the lesser of two evils, right? The lesser evil is to get the restraining order because the harassment's gotten so bad, but then to have to eat crow when he goes back on stream. I don't know. People were already saying that he already did another stream, but he must have done it when I was overnight or whatever. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
To be honest, it's DSP coming up here saying, I don't understand why you guys can shit on me day in, day out. But this guy right here, who's obviously, according to DSP, is obviously worse. You guys are going ahead and praising him on Twitter and on Reddit and this, that, and the third. And, you know, people are looking at him being like, oh, well, you know, he stood on business and he showed up in person or whatever, whatever. And he's like, but he's a low-cal like me. Why isn't he getting the abuse that I'm taking? Why isn't he being treated the way I'm treated? Why is the same thing with Review Tech USA? Why does he get a pass? Why does Wings get a pass? These are people that he named in this shit. And he's like, why is it just me that, why do I always have to be the whipping boy and basically the King John of the internet, the toilet, I mean, not the actual person. And everybody else kind of, when they have their moments, they're somehow elevated. And he says, and he thinks it's unfair. That's what this whole thing was about. That's really what it was. This W, in air quotes, however you perceive it, has bothered him so much that now he had to come out and say, He's a lol cow. Why is it that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's done wrong. He's lied for years. He's done this, that, and the third. He's a fraud. He's a poser. All the things that people call DSP, because that's what he is. Why isn't he being treated the exact same way? And that's the reason why he's not reacting to the court case, because he knows that there's going to be a demographic that's going to bash him. And instead of him standing on business and being like, hey, this is what I feel about him, like it or like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do like it, you do like it. He would rather just ignore it. He would rather just avoid it until LTG is on his motherfucking knees, down bad, back against the wall, where DSP can come in and hit him while everybody else is hitting him so he doesn't get hit back. The marks of a true coward. And that's all that situation was. Like I said, I'll insert some clips throughout this and whatnot, but that's really what this whole thing was. It was a coward who tried to diminish LTG's situation while at the same time saying he's no different than me. Why are you guys willing to look the other way for this shit, but you're not willing to give me a shot? And I don't know who he's trying to attract with that. The normies or just the mainstream in general? No, this, even amongst the mainstream, people know that LTG is a vile piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? And they're surprised by the W, but they're like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. As for LTG trolls, they don't even look at it as a win, to be honest with you. But because Rose is going to get an appeal later, then so on and so forth. I think they need to let go of Dijon and his bullshit, though. They need to go ahead and sweep that, according to what I've seen. So unless he comes in at like the 12th hour and actually makes something happen, they should just go ahead and let that go. But overall, people understand what that shit is. The problem is DSP is just mad that LTG is a bit more liked than he is. For better or worse, people think LTG is funny. For better or worse, people think LTG is entertaining. These are two things that people don't say about DSP, and it bothers them. On top of the fact that just LTG is in better shape than DSP. He presents himself better, I guess. I mean, drumsticks aside, you know, skipping leg day has its consequences. And you could tell while he was up there, meaning LTG, when he was up there doing this fucking, his Kazuya fucking cosplay up here and shit, bro. Like, how you got these big ass motherfucking arms, you got these small ass fucking legs. Like, bro, what you do? You spent all that time in the gym and that's how you decide to fuck yourself up? Anywho, so that's what this all is. It's just jealousy. It is projection. And he don't want to be a man and stand on nothing because he's too scared of what the blowback's going to be. And that's why you see the head shake and everything there. That's all this was. A coward being a coward. Seeing another lol cow, right? Getting some type of praise, I guess. I've seen it in a few different places. And he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand why the internet just isn't swarming on him and shit. LTG lying about a child is vile. And denying the baby's mom and not wanting to pay child support, just not wanting to take responsibility, is vile. But DSP lying, and this isn't even the greater, you know, the less of two evils. DSP out here lying to fucking mentally and physically disabled people, lying about needing money for his taxes, lying about needing money to save his house, being a fucking gambling addict, being an alcoholic, being all these different things, and treating people like slaves, literally slaves behind the scenes. You could see why people have a compulsion to go after DSP a little more than LTG. They're both pieces of shit at the end of the day, and I'm not going to say which one's better than the other. They're both pieces of garbage. They both need to have the knee, not even the knee, because we don't need to go on some George Floyd shit, but they damn sure need to have the boot on top of their motherfucking necks and keep the pressure on it all night and keep applying, for sure. Both of them deserve that. Both of them are going to hell. So who gives a shit, to be honest? But when you're a fucking petty little person and you need to say, they're worse than me, go after them, and whatever, that just shows how weak you are. LTG ain't thinking about you. He ain't talking about you. You're the one doing it. And that pisses off DSP even more. Because if he could at least get LTG into an exchange, into an encounter with him, then he thinks he can fix the narrative. If not, you just got one loser harping and obsessing about another loser, which is crazy because I thought DSP was so successful. I thought he uses his time, he uses his time in a very constructive sort of way. He doesn't obsess about people. DSP literally said, oh, I challenged LTG to this and he wouldn't do this. And he lied completely about the money situation. Quick refresher. DSP says that he challenged LTG. LTG says you're gonna have to pay him money. DSP said, okay, but the money should go to the winner. That didn't happen. What happened is DSP did make the challenge. LTG said, you need to put some bread up. You need to pay me just to show up. DSP said, no, go to your audience and have them, give you the money to do all this shit. LTG is like, you're wasting my motherfucking time. Kino Casino came in and said, we'll pay LTG's appearance fee and whatnot, as long as we get a chance to stream it, which they were going to stream it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But, but as long as we get to stream it, LTG allegedly was being like, okay, if the money's there, and DSP sat there and fucking trotted his little ass in there saying, well, no, the money should go to the winner. He shouldn't get money just to show up, this, that, and the third. But because DSP's retarded, he don't realize that Kino Casino was willing to throw $5,000 up to bring LTG to the table. So if you can, in air quotes, allegedly beat him, now you got the opportunity to do it. But see, DSP couldn't beat him because DSP didn't even want to really play him. And he got butthurt that Kino Casino was coming in and willing to give the money up. And he basically bitched and complained about it, and everybody just lost interest.
He's the best fighting game player of all time. No one could possibly ever beat him in a match. Anyone who does, it's only because of this excuse, that excuse, this excuse, that excuse. Okay? Like, literally, you could never, ever beat him if this were Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5. It's only because we're playing Street Fighter 6 and this game is junk. That's why you're beating him. But then you beat him in Street Fighter 5, but you'll never beat him in Third Strike. But then you beat him in Third Strike, but you could never beat him in Tiddlywinks. You know? That's how he is. Keep in mind, I've challenged this guy to matches to which he stated the only way he would ever play me is for $5,000. I said, well, I'll play you for $5,000, but the winner takes it. You don't just get it for playing me. The winner takes the money. He didn't like that. So then he started making public challenges about, like, he'll only play me if I squat a certain amount of weight, which is really bizarre, because why do you care about a guy's physique unless you're gay? It's very weird behavior, okay? So and
then LTG trolled him about, yo, you really need to go ahead and fix your wardrobe. Hey, you really need to take care of yourself. Hey, you need to eat better and work out and all that bullshit. And what happened? DSP did it. Not the eating well part, obviously. DSP tries it, still exists. But for the most part, everything in the working out thing obviously isn't happening. That's Ozempic or whatever other GLP-1 that's doing the heavy lifting on that. But basically everything LTG told him to do, he did it. He's still doing it. You really think he's doing that shit for Kat? No, because if Kat's allegedly on her deathbed, or if she's really down bad, let's say that. If she's really as down bad as DSP is telling all these people in DMs about, then there ain't no point to live for her. So what is he living for? What's he trying to better himself for then? Don't worry, I'll wait. And that's why he's acting the way he is now. He desperately wants this man's attention and approval in a lot of ways. But yet he's still mad that the internet at large don't look at them as equals. They're both lol cows, in my eyes. But there is a demographic of people who don't look at them equally.
Okay, but anyway, LTG is not having a good time right now. He is hard up. He is in a lot of pain, and deservedly so, because the guy is a vile human, and he parades around the internet like he's not involved with all these horrible things. He hasn't said these horrible things. He said far worse things than I've ever said, that's for sure. And it's just terrible that he just gets away with it, and people just want to put their fingers in their ears like this and go, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, dude, it's right there. You could play the clip of what he said about tarnished pennies and Drake and this story he told about some girl. Well, I guess it was like on Facebook or whatever. He met her when she was 14, and he talked to her until she was 18, and then he slept with her. Like, dude, that's grooming. That's like the definition of grooming. You can't even explain it better than that. That's actually what grooming is. And you did it. And you openly, publicly admitted to it. Like, what the hell? Why should you have an internet presence? Because this is the problem, is people see that shit, and they'll be like, oh, well, look, this guy has 5,000 subs, and he's a successful streamer with all this prominence, and he makes all this money, he lives in a house for himself. No one should be following his example. No one. No one should be a horrible person to women on the internet and then get away with it and become prominent and rich. They shouldn't. I mean, quite frankly, the guy is a lowlife. And he shouldn't be having any level of success for what he's done. It's fucked up. So he's finally getting exposed, and it is, it is what it is. I guess we'll see. But that's what's going on right now. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? All lol cows are made differently, but they all have the same fucking tendencies and so on and so forth. And that's what DSP's pissed off about. And fuck them. Let them be mad about it. Anyway, like I said, I'll inject some clips in here and whatnot to kind of help tell the story. This might be my new format moving forward. We'll see, as it pertains to the Snort report. And then the Snort retort will be actually me reacting. And then the long form stuff will be the Snort report. So that's looking like what the trifecta is going to be, or the 3-prong plan, if you will. Yes, taking over Goutopia, 1 prong at a time. So anyway, we'll see. But that's what I'm looking at is going to be the format for that. In any case, so that's what the situation is, ladies and gentlemen. Just a sad old man, mad that the black man is got himself a W and he can't do nothing to stop it, while at the same time wanting the approval of said black man. That's it. It's completely and utterly lol-cow behavior, and no one should be surprised by any of it. In any case, thank you guys very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And this has been, I'll name the segment later, GTG spits that grease, so on and so forth. Take care of yourselves, people. Take care of yourselves, people. And remember, beat your lol-cows and beat them often. And there is no lesser of two evils when it comes to a lol-cow. They're all bad. At the end of the day, they're all bad. There may be there's no real various degrees of it. They're all bad in their own way. Fuck them. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.